as promised, we're going back to the war this afternoon. Why? How? Well, there is a lot going on Isle of Man Railways in a couple of weeks' time, and I'm joined by a plethora of guests and some cakes in the studio. More about the cakes later, but Angie did say I will be distracted by cake, didn't you, Ange?
You're always distracted by cake.
It's lovely to welcome you all in here this afternoon.
Thank you, Alex.
Island at War is coming around. We were trying to work out, actually, when the first Island at War was. It was quite a while ago now, wasn't it?
We think 2012.
And it seems to go from strength to strength every year. The atmosphere that you get when you arrive at Douglas Station, even before you see most of the event, is palpable. It's great, isn't it?
This year, I think, Alex, is the biggest year yet, with a lot of people coming back to Island at War that haven't been for a while. So we seem to just have everything in the mix we could possibly want this year. Now,
I've got in front of me like lists of different attractions. Let's talk about some of the stuff that's returned that's been very popular in the past that has been missing for a few years.
Yes.
The Black Knight Historical. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, they're a historical reenactment group, and people who have come to Island at War year after year will remember them. There's about a dozen of them, and they do little cameos and reenact things, and they travel on the trains. They have nurses and APR wardens, and they've got a camp this year in Castletown. They are going to keep people down there at that camp, so they're at Castletown, coming to Douglas and then travelling down to Port Erin sometimes as well. Fabulous people.
Excellent. And also, I'd imagine welcoming us on the station, from what I recall, the Isle of Man Home Guard Reenactment Society. Now, these guys originally almost started up because of Island at War, didn't they?
They were Island at War, weren't they, for the first couple of years, and we're ever so pleased to have them back. Yeah, so they'll be in Douglas and then part of the time in Castletown as well.
Now, speaking of Castletown, I know full well from previous years, I look forward to arriving in Castletown because the Scouts are there with cake, of which I might indulge a little bit in. Mike Southall's here, and Mike, before we get onto anything else, is there going to be cake this year?
Oh yes, definitely.
Good. That's me sold.
Especially for every train that arrives from Port Erin and from Douglas.
Excellent. Now, that's not all that's happening at Castletown. Let me ask you about what's this deck carrier game. Now, you've tried to explain this to me. Do your best for the listener.
I did try and explain this to you, Alex, but I think the best thing that I can do is for all your listeners to indulge in Island of War and come down to Castletown and see all the activities that the Scouts and the Explorer Scouts are engaged in. But not only Castletown, they're also acting as censors for stamping your identity card on the train. So they'll be travelling on the trains backwards and forwards between Douglas, Castletown and Port Erin.
We don't want any enemy aliens or spies on the train,
do
we?
No. This is to alleviate all possibility of spies or aliens.
Oh, excellent. So make sure you got your identity card when you're on the train and travelling this year. It's great, actually. The Scouts really have got on board with this over the years, haven't they? There's quite a large number of you involved.
Absolutely. We've been doing it for every year since Island of War's been on and taken a major part in that particular activity. It's great.
So if you maybe a parent of a scout that's taking part, something definitely to look forward to. Now, moving down the line, I'm gone. I did take the mick out of Mike not wearing an outfit that was as, shall we say, eye-catching as Anne, who is sat next to you. Anne, first of all, fascinating fascinator.
Yes, thank you, Alex. It's a poppy. I'm representing the Royal British Legion and I'm looking after the veteran train on Saturday. And we have 60 veterans, all keen and eager to travel on the train down to Port Erin. They'll be wearing their grey blazers and festooned in all their medals. And they represent all the armed services. Some of them are in the Second World War and obviously in national service. And it's a fantastic day for them.
I was going to say, because there's two sides to the Island at War, isn't there? There's the family attraction, the fun day out and everything else like this, but there is the acknowledgement of the serious side of it. And do the veterans actually enjoy the train out and the day out altogether?
Oh yes, they book for next year.
Oh wow, fantastic.
It's a highlight of their year, an opportunity not just to come to commemorative events, like Remembrance, where it's rather sombre. This is quite a lovely day to meet and socialise. And we have a couple that always bring a Fortnum and Mason's hamper, and we have champagne.
Very nice.
Very nice, yes.
Very decadent. I like that. Do they share a lot of memories? Is there a lot of reminiscing that goes on at events like this?
Yes, they do, because we have a number of them that perhaps only meet that once a year, and some of the younger veterans will ask about the medals. And obviously this year we're commemorating the 80th anniversary for the start of the Second World War on the 1st of September 1939. So it's a very important year.
Okay, and the Manx Veterans train does depart Douglas at 11:20 on the Saturday there. Now, I'm moving down the line here, you see. I've got a cast of thousands this afternoon. This is brilliant. It's the best resource show I've ever done. Now, Trish, I'm coming to you now. I feel cruel by just mentioning cakes a lot because your role at Alaman Railways does involve a lot more than just cakes, doesn't it, really?
Yes, there is a lot more than cakes. Right from the very beginning, when the Island War first started, we thought, what shall we do? So we looked into it and we got authentic wartime recipes, and the menus are all done from the wartime recipes.
Oh, wow.
And we started out, so we'll have 2 different events, one on the Friday night, which will be like a buffet type 2-course meal, and then on the Saturday it's the market 3-course. That's hoping that everybody all brings the ration books in for me and we can get hold of all this food.
Oh, of course.
Because it is very difficult at this time of year.
I can imagine. The one question I've got to ask, because I've tried them in the past, spam fritters.
Spam fritters, we cannot do Island at War without spam fritters. We'll have them on all weekend. So, and also with the 2 nights that we do, we've got the girls singing the Swingettes. One of the girls coming, she's the only year she didn't do was last year, but she's been one of the original ones that has come every year apart from last year. So it'd be nice to have her back as well.
And speaking of the Swingettes, that the other lady who's in shall we say, eye-catching gear, and I didn't catch your name at the beginning. Sarah. Sorry, you see, it's my old age. Now, Sarah, are you going to be part of the performances down there? Are we allowed
yeah. One of the Southern Bells. There's 5 of us.
5 of you. Are we allowed to have a bit of a taster right now? I'm putting you on the
No,
spot.
put me on the spot.
Oh dear.
Got a song from the First World War that you could all help with.
Oh, go on. Let's have a listen.
It's called Hush, Here Comes a Whiz Bang.
Oh, go on then.
And we'll sing it in whatever key comes out. I have no idea what they really call it. It goes, hush, here comes a whiz bang, hush, here comes a whiz bang. All you soldiers, get down your stairs, down in your dugout and say your prayers. Hush, here comes a whiz bang and it's heading straight for you. You'll meet all your fellows in no man's land if a whiz bang gets you.
Excellent. I think round of applause. That was brilliant. And
I'm
more.
never going to forgive you.
No, but more of that to come at Island of War.
Lots more, and when there's 5 of us, yeah, it's pretty amazing with all the girls.
And to be honest, I mean, looking at the list of what we've got here, you know, as you say, the Southern Bells, the Swingettes, there's the Carrier Landing deck game at Castletown. This is all new this year. There is the Poppy Art in Douglas, Knit for Victory in Douglas, the Auxiliary Fire Service. It's the first time they're going to be part of Island at War. And there's going to be bus tours of World War II sites. And this is where I bring in Charles Gott, who isn't actually a World War II site, I'd like to point out.
No, I am one of the bells this year, though.
Oh, are you? Oh,
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
Are you going to be getting dressed up in the red?
Certainly, yes.
Charles, the bus tours that are going to be taking place, what sort of sites are they going to be visiting?
Well, we are visiting, of course, the south, starting in Castletown. We go to the only British Legion hall from the Second World War left in the British Isles, in Janet's Corner, where we'll get off and have a look inside because it's like going back to a Dad's Army set. It's just incredible. And I've got dozens of photographs of HMS Early as it was in 1945 with all the Nisnuts there. The entertainment actually going on in that hall. So that's really interesting. We then get back and we go up to Craignish, and I'll be walking people up to the old radar site on the top there. And we'll be going around the pillboxes and stuff. And then back into Port Erin up to Collinson's Cafe. And I'll be talking a bit about the women's camp in Port Erin, and then we end off just by the railway station and we go into St Catherine's Hall where there's a small exhibition. So it's a sort of trip, a nostalgic trip in a vintage bus.
And the thing is that for many people who might not have done their sort of homework on the war, thinking the Isle of Man, it wasn't involved in the war, we didn't have the Blitz, we didn't have things like that. Actually, there are lots of places and lots of remnants still, especially the Second World War, that you can still see if you know where to look.
Absolutely, the island's packed with it. What people don't realise is it's not just the internees here, but in this very building we're sitting in, there were 30,000 trainees based on Douglas Prom in HMS Valkyrie, and there are pictures of all the cadets coming up here every day to train in secret harbour radar, and that's just one of many installations on the island. So we had tens of thousands of people over here training, never mind the internees.
So that's something if you want to get on board with the bus tours, make sure you've actually booked your space on those. You can do by calling 697 457. But to be honest, pick up a leaflet. Ireland at War. It's the 1940s weekend on the 17th and 18th of August. So not this coming weekend, the weekend after. All the activities are on between 10 and 4:30. And you'll find more details online at rail.im.